Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about 2-year cycle. What is the 2-year cycle? The 2-year cycle is how long it takes for us to upgrade our DNA, to shift our body to a different reality. Now, I will say a 2-year cycle, and that's a minimum of a 2-year cycle. If we're working consistently on trying to clear a program and rewrite a certain portion of our DNA, exposing it to higher consciousness, holding that consciousness, it can take a minimum of 2 years to clear that DNA from our body and shift us up. So if you're super conscious, I'm going to use the word super conscious. I don't know if I love that term, but let's just say you're really working toward it. It's a minimum normally of 2 years to really shift something. So if you're distracted in other stuff, you go back and plan the human programming, you go back and dabble in a third dimensional level of consciousness, you play in that stuff for a while, it could take longer. So look back at things that took you 2 years. You will find that is a theme for a lot of I'm gonna say big stages in your life, because they are kind of big when you're shifting consciousness quicker, but they're more energetically big. You start to see it physically, but a lot of stuff is a lot more energetic when you get to the higher realms of consciousness. It's not as physical as when you're in the third dimensional realm. It's not that it doesn't show, it does, it just doesn't show as a physical correlation. Sometimes it's just a very energetic feel. The physical will come, but it might not be a massive shift in the physical that you might see when you're in the third dimensional realm. And you might be saying, well, if you're in a third dimensional level of consciousness, how are you doing any of this? Well, you're doing it subconsciously. There'll still be a 2-year window. And you just might be working toward something for 2 years. You might be saying, I don't want to do this job anymore. I want to focus on getting this. You will find a 2-year marker is just inherently how long it takes. Because even if you're shifting that and you just have no idea you're trying to shift your consciousness, you're just focusing on holding your own in a way, holding your own that I'm not going to go back and play in that. I'm going to hold out for this. And it doesn't matter what it is for you. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to see that it will take a while for it to shift, to break that program. If you thought, oh, I'm only can do this, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I can do more than that. I'm not less than. I can do whatever I want to do, and I want to do this. And I'm going to hold out for that. No matter what the outside world says, I'm going to hold out for that. And I'm going to do everything I feel and see to get there. And then when we're human, we might not realize that's what we're doing. I see this a lot in a lot of what our human aspect will do. Like our human aspect will move somewhere and go, oh, I have to move there. We only move places because we're supposed to clear and activate something else in our body. Everything the human does and sets up is an activation of some level of consciousness. You might not be ready for your full-blown journey to higher consciousness and the accelerated journey we all go on at some point, but you're still going toward it. You're still moving. Think of the things that could have taken you 2 years, because remember, it's almost like a minimum of 2 years, but it took you 4 or 8 or 10 because you're focused on other things. It doesn't mean you did it wrong. You just kind of took a little more time to do it. But you also have those things built into your journey. You can do it like that. It's just when you get to certain levels of consciousness, we realize it and we go quicker. We've cleared out a lot of stuff in our life. That's why a lot of people hit this journey after their kids have left, they didn't have kids, or their kids have gone away to college or just off on their own, because they don't have to worry about that. They don't have that part of the journey. They don't have to play out the human parent-child relationship. They don't have to raise a child anymore. They did that. So a lot of people kind of plan it out later to have the bigger jumps because they have more time for themselves. I saw someone today talking about how they were moving to a new house, but they were really ill before they were going and they hadn't moved in yet because they've been so sick. Well, they're clearing. That house is a new reality for them. It's got a different frequency. They've shifted their frequency. The old house couldn't support them anymore. Now they're going to a new one. But to get there, they got to clear all that stuff out of their body. That's why they've been sick for 2 weeks. Our human aspect really has no idea what it's doing. It thinks it's all backwards. Oh, I'm just sick. You're not sick. In the third dimensional level of consciousness, you're sick. In the higher realms, you're clearing. Because you go to that different frequency in that house, you have to have a higher frequency of your body. To get that, we have to clear. There's also like a 9-month window where you'll see one thing starts off here and then it'll take 9 months. It's almost like the birthing cycle, but it's more of an energetic birthing cycle. Look at the people that come around every 2 years. They're in a same type of cycle. They're using you as an activation. You're playing some type of role for them, and they come around every 2 years. There are some big markers, and everyone's journey can be a little different, but we all have some very similar things, and time seems to be sort of similar, just because we can't really speed up how long it takes to decode, recode our body, clearing programming. We kind of have a minimum amount of time on that because it's such an immense job our body's doing. We have to hold on to something for a long time. Hold on to that consciousness. It doesn't really matter what it is in the beginning. You'll just realize that's what you were doing. So take a look back. It's fun to start to map out your timelines and keep practicing the art of intuition.